Turn. Whoa. Good afternoon, everyone. Going to ask us all to get settled in now, and as we prepare, it is time for us to have our meeting, and so if we can all settle in. I'm going to ask Vince Preston to come and provide our safety and security protocols.
Good afternoon, President Mills, Commissioners, Clint. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. With OUC's commitment to make safety first, we begin each commission meeting with a safety briefing in the event that we have an emergency. Of course, we are located at 100 West Anderson Street in the commission chambers on the 7th floor. We have 3 exits to this building, both in the front, center, and back. We have an identified gathering point for employees and visitors in the event of an emergency. We would evacuate the building. We will exit to the nearest door and proceed to the stairwell to the left or right of the commission room. Our meeting place will be the surface parking lot under the 408. We also have an AED, a first aid kit, a fire extinguisher that are located in the sound closet of this room. And we also have the 911 primary and backup designated prior to each meeting, which will be myself and Carlos Whitty. And in the need of a emergency response, the security team will assist with directing emergency responders into the building and up to the 7th floor. This concludes our safety briefing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time now, we're going to call Pete Westlake, who's going to provide our moment of reflection.
Well, good afternoon, President Mills, Commissioners, Clint. August. Whew, is it hot or what? Oh no, that was rhetorical, I'm sorry. We're all living in the dog days of summer, but did you ever ask yourself how this saying came to be? Is it that dogs like heat? I can tell you my Great Dane doesn't. One whiff outside, he comes back in and says, are there other options? But it came to be a long time ago when the constellation Sirius would appear in the sky just before the sun. Near the end of July, which marked the beginning of the very hottest days of the year. The Romans referred to this period as Dies Canicularis, or the days of the dog star, which was eventually just shortened to dog days. So what does that mean for us? OUC, the reliable one. Well, we're needed more than ever more, and more importantly, we are needed to be reliable as we ever were and cost-effective as possible. Our services include both water and electricity, and this can mean the difference between thirsty and quenched, uncomfortably hot, and pleasantly cool. We can sometimes mean the difference between life and death for those who really rely on us. Heat-related deaths are on the rise and now eclipse all other weather-related deaths combined. Fighting off the summer heat is taking more energy than before, and that is why we need your leadership to find ways to balance comfort and reliability with cost. It's not an easy task. I'm an old project manager, old, you can tell by up here, and I used to say that the projects were a factor of time, quality, and cost. And I would give you 2 of those to control. I get the 3rd. You get no control over the 3rd. But here I'm asking you to balance them, all 3 of these at once. And it's important for our customers that you do that equitably across our customer base. But we're not just dealing with heat, are we? Our politicians are vying to have their platforms heard as we head into an election period. Conflicts continues to be an issue both abroad and at home. Perhaps this meeting can be one that can be an example of how we deal appropriately with opinions that may not always agree. How can we lean into listening to our customers, and how can we shape our strategy, taking all our stakeholders into account? So with that, as we reflect on the agenda before us, we wish for all of us to have a safe and productive meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pete. At this time, I'd like to invite Sean Karajian up front, who's going to come forward. Mr. Karajian has served in the Air Force for 5 years, achieving the rank of Staff Sergeant And now Ms. Karajian has worked at OUC for 2 months. His current title is IT Security Analysis Intern, and he's going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Would all stand, please?
Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your service. All right, it is exactly 2:05, and I call the August 13, 2024 Commission meeting to order. Mayor Dyer and Commissioner Gross are not in attendance today, and we are, let me take personal liberty in saying I'm lifting Commissioner Gross up in prayer. She's over in Germany having had death in her family, and so we're just asking you to remember her. So, but we do acknowledge that we have a official quorum in place this afternoon, and I thank our commissioners for being there. For the record, I didn't get the memo about blue, but I do have some blue in my tie, so I think we're okay, all right? With your blue pants and blue outfit and blue shirt. But anyway, we're moving right along. At this time, our next item on the agenda is a consideration of the June 13, 2024 pricing roadmap workshop minutes. I will entertain a motion to waive the reading of the pricing roadmap workshop minutes and adopt them as published as we received copies.
So moved.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Gonzalez and second by Chapin. Is there any discussion? No further discussion is needed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the July 9, 2024 budget workshop meetings. Again, I will entertain a motion to waive the reading of the budget workshop minutes and adopt them as published.
So moved. Second.
All right, again, we have a motion from Commissioner Gonzalez, seconded by Chapin. Is there any discussion? No further discussion. We will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. And then finally, next on the agenda is the consideration of the July 9, 2024 commission meeting minutes. Again, I will entertain a motion to waive the reading of the commission meeting minutes and adopt them as published.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Chapin and second by Commissioner Gonzalez. Is there any discussion? No further discussion. We'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We now move into our award section. Mr. Adams, will you provide the service award?
Good afternoon. I would like to call Mr. Chris Clements to the front, please. Chris also has attending with him. Thought it was 2 sons, Omar and Owen, but we only have 1. He also has a son, Anthony, that could not be in attendance today. So I'm going to deviate for just a moment from the script and say that every year on my birthday, Chris gives me a call. Now, he probably calls everybody, but I'm just, every year he calls me on my birthday. He gives me the State of the Union about OUC, what's going on. And at the end of that conversation, he says, if there's anything I can do for you or your family, just let me know. So just letting you know, I appreciate that. So Mr. Clements used to work for the DOT in 1994. He was working the night shift at that time, and he was looking for an opportunity to stop working the night shift and work during the day. So he had his CDL license, so he drove all the heavy equipment for the DOT. And I guess the DOT had a contract with our fleet department. So he would drive the heavy equipment over to OUC at our fleet department, and that's where he met Mr. Don Ricotta and Steve Ford. Many of us remember those 2 names. And they said, listen, young man, you should really try to get a job here at OUC. It's a better opportunity for you and your family, and you can work during the day. So that's exactly what happened. He started working here as a water distribution tech in 1999, apprentice line tech in 2000, line tech 3 in 2001, and his current job is in the electric repair shop as an electric repair technician. So in the electric repair shop, Chris is responsible for many critical tasks. He decommissions and refurbishes electrical equipment that comes into the transformer shop on a daily basis. He tests, pressure washes, paints, repairs bushings, springs, etc. He also assists construction coordinators with testing and prepping of new transformers. Once the units are ready to be installed, Mr. Clements will pull the units from stock, again, clean, prep, test, make sure they are safe and field ready for the warehouse to pick up. Mr. Clements is also a big part of our rubber goods, tools, and equipment testing processes and procedures. He ensures that they are safe for our line technicians to use in the field. Mr. Clements also is the main point of contact for any oil spills and cleanups that occur on our system. He's available 24/7 for that responsibility, and he's also the main point of contact for our outside oil cleanup company to assist if further action is needed. Mr. Clements has many years of experience and knowledge, and he is often leaned upon from his fellow employees to educate them on the older, more specialized pieces of equipment on our system. He loves car shows, he loves exotic cars, antique cars, so anything automotive he loves. He takes trips with his sons to go to these exotic car shows, and sometimes he comes back and tells me how he met the owners of these cars, and then he gets invited to different places. So if you knew Chris and his personality, you would understand why that's the case. He's a really huge family guy. I would also like to add that Chris is well respected by his peers. He takes pride in OUC and loves what he does. He is also willing to lend a hand whenever asked. A personal quote from Chris is, if you are willing to work and work hard, OUC will give you the opportunity to show what you can do. So Chris, thank you for your 25 years of service.
Hang on, we got another son, I think, that got here late. Wait.
Oh, he made it, okay.
All right. Thank you all so much for your 25 years of service. Awesome. Mr. Adams, would you like to come back and present the first employee recognition?
APPA?
Yes,
APPA, yes.
APPA.
All righty. Excuse me. OUC had a strong showing at this year's American Public Power Association 22nd National Line Workers Rodeo, which brings together line technicians from utilities across the country. As you'll recall, at the prior commission meeting, I shared how the team performed at FMEA's Florida Lineman Competition. That event took place at the state level. Today's update now shares news coming out of the national competition. This year's event was hosted by Lafayette Utilities in Lafayette, Louisiana, and took place on April 5th and 6th. OUC sent 2 journeyman teams and 3 apprentices, as well as 3 judges and 3 support staff. They went ready to compete. Leading up to the rodeo, they practiced twice weekly. and right before the competition, they started training daily. I am happy to report that the hard work did pay off. First, I'd like to recognize the journeyman team of Austin Hawk, Evan Englert, and Nelson Rodriguez. They've had quite a run as a team.
Oh,
This is the same team that brought home 3 trophies from the Florida Lineman competition in February, including a 4th place finish overall. In Louisiana, they were recognized as the 5th place overall journeyman team. Some highlights from their performance include a 4th place finish in the Hurt Man Rescue and 4 kV alley arm insulated changeout events. They only missed 3rd place in each category by mere seconds, which would have earned them additional trophies. We also had another journeyman team placed nationally. The team consisted of Frank Ackerman, Brendan LaFlame, and Shane Pottas, brought home 3rd place for the 200 amp elbow repair event.
Are they here? Yeah.
Now, if you have not seen a competition like this before, the Line Workers Rodeo tests skills, speed, and safety awareness in various challenging scenarios that line technicians typically see on the job. Participants are timed in each event, with judges also monitoring for adherence to competition guidelines and deducting points for mistakes. To win, you must work quickly, but also precisely and safely. I'd also like to recognize our apprentices who all competed at the FMEA Rodeo in February as well and made a strong showing at the APPA event. The team featured Garrett Acamado, Elijah Vin, and Sal Martinez. And lastly, thanks to the judges and support staff who rounded out the team to represent OUC in Louisiana. The judges were senior technical trainers James Alexander, Brian Walsh, and Sean Carroll. The support team included OUC COO Attila Mitzi, Rick Taylor, Zachary Rochester, and Richard Bowley. Now, I'd like to take a moment to recognize these journeyman teams for their wins. They really exemplify the spirit and teamwork we have here at OUC. So congratulations, Austin, Evan, Nelson, Frank, Brendan, and Shane for your wins.
awesome.
Are we missing a lineman or is that a future lineman up there that we're missing?
Can you get us off? This way. That is awesome, awesome. All right, our second employee recognition. Ms. Thompson, would you come with Central Florida Healthiest Employee?
Good afternoon, President Mills, Commissioners, Clint. I have some really great news to share with you today. One of our key performance indicators for our Connected 2025 plan is focused on the improvement of health and well-being of our employees. And for the past 7 years, we have acknowledged, let me get my clicker here. We were acknowledged as the healthiest employer of Central Florida recognition from Springbrook, which is the sponsor of this award. And OUC has consistently placed in the top 5 place, top 5 of that award. I am happy to share that this year, OUC received the #1 spot, recognizing us as the #1 healthiest employer of Central Florida among companies with 500 to 1,499 employees. Ooh, yeah, I think that
Yeah.
deserves a recognition.
Can't we clap?
You know, this award recognizes companies for outstanding health and wellness program, and I think this is a really significant accomplishment that affirms OUC's commitment to providing the best possible benefits and wellness and health programs for our employees. The Healthiest Employer Program assesses well-being effectiveness in 6 different categories. The categories are scored here. And these are the rankings that OUC receive in each of those 6 categories. Also highlighted is the year-over-year rating change from the prior year's awards that we received when we came in 2nd place. I like to take a moment to walk through some of these ratings and processes that we have implemented as a result, that resulted here in these, reflected in these changes. Our top 3 performing categories were in the areas of strategic planning, marketing and communications, and reporting and analytics. We received 2 perfect scores this year. The first was in strategic planning, and this measures the strength of our company's program that actually drive behavioral change. Springbuk highlighted the company's use of the strategic planning decisions that are focused on chronic conditions. So we were actually highlighted for our work around addressing chronic health conditions in our plan. Previously, I had shared with the commission that we have 2 programs that we partner with Advent Health on, and those programs are Thrive and New Day, New Way. And these programs assist us with weight management for our employees and those with pre-diabetes and diabetes, who's been actually diagnosed with diabetes. When paired with prescription adherence, we know that individuals can have a 5 to 7% weight loss reduction, which addresses those chronic conditions. We also know that doing that and looking at your health overall can have a 58% reduction of achieving or battling the diabetic condition for our employees. So focusing on the holistic part of our employees is really important to helping drive down those chronic conditions. The second place that we received a perfect score was in the area of marketing and communications. This category evaluates the communication practices of a company that we have in place to really drive that awareness and engagement. We were recognized that the company increased communications with employees about the well-being program and our company's focus on maximizing the partnership with Aetna and their communications team as well. OUC also was recognized for our receipt of the Florida Municipal Electric Association Safety Award and the Wellness Workday Best Wellness Employer Award. These things were also contributing factors around how we market and communicate to our employees. And then our third category was in the areas of reporting and analytics. Under the reporting and analytics category, Springbuk recognized OUC's use of broker, insurance, and health analytics to help drive our programming. So we're not just focused on what feels right, but what the data drives us to focusing on and building out programs each year. This past year, we've seen some key indicators of change. So going back to that behavioral change in our employees' overall health and well-being that have led to strengthening our wellness programs. The first was an overall utilization increase for our employees, particularly in the area of adult preventive care visits. Secondly, we saw a healthy increase in age-appropriate screenings. Prostate exams, for example, went up 3% from 52 to 55%. We got to get the rest of that. Our employees in the doctor's office there for those preventive care, age-appropriate visits. And then on the cervical screenings for women, that went up 1% year over year. We also saw a steady increase in behavioral health, growing around our focus on mental wellness for our employees. And as you know, our core value, our number one core value is around safety. Make safety first. That not only focuses on the physical aspect of the employee, but also the mental and psychological aspects of our employees' overall well-being. And we believe the focus on both of these items really helped to drive those increases in our scoring this year. And finally, you may recall back in May where I reported out that our wellness program was recognized for the gold certification from Wellness Workdays. This was in collaboration with Harvard Medical School. This award is just another example of the recognition OUC benefits programs receive year after year. These accolades would not be possible without our amazing wellness team, led by Patrick Peters, who's our manager of benefits and wellness, Jessica Puentes, who is our wellness administrator, and Allie Roy, who is our wellness coordinator. We also have a host of well-being champions, over 60 across the organization, that are very actively engaged in driving health imperatives out to our employees and our program participants. In addition, I'd like to recognize the support we receive internally for our efforts here on wellness. Our marketing and communications team, our leaders across the organization that really make this a priority and serve as an example to their employees for modeling good, healthy behaviors and helping us overall amplify our programs. And all of you for supporting our board, obviously, who supports the expenses and the investment in our healthcare programs year after year. These collective efforts really help us drive a truly outstanding program for our employees to take part in. And at this time, I will take any questions that you may have.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have one more employee recognition. I'd like Corey and Queen, if they're here, to come forward and speak to us about our Youth Energy Academy.
Good afternoon, President Mills, Commissioners, and Clint. I'm Corey Johnson, Manager of Water Operations and Maintenance, and I'm pleased to say that I'm the Chair of OUC, American Association of Blacks in Energy, affectionately known as ABE, the ABE Committee, and I'm proud to be one of the leaders of the Youth Energy Academy. At OUC, we recognize that sparking bright futures of our youth is not only crucial to their success, but also to the success of our company and our community. One way we do this is by partnering with Duke Energy and Siemens to host the annual Youth Energy Academy, also known as YEA, which is in its 11th year. YEA is a nationally recognized program hosted by ABE. Florida alone hosts 6 academies throughout the state of Florida. On July 25th, the 13th Annual Youth Energy Academy was held at the OUC Pershings Operations Center. At this event, 66 local students gathered to participate in a high-level course in the production and distribution of electricity and of water. This year events drew middle school, high school, college students, most participating in youth groups located in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole, and even as far as West Volusia counties. Through this event, we introduced participants to high-skilled wage careers in science, technology, engineering, and math careers in the utility sectors, including engineering and science-related paths. This event acts as a bridge from the classroom to careers by inspiring young minority students to study STEM-related courses in preparations to seek good-paying jobs within our industry, most of which they wouldn't even know about if it wasn't for this program that we do. As you know, careers in the utility field are wide-ranging from technology, from just water line technicians to water system operations to opportunities in legal, accounting, and marketing, human resources, and environmental conservation, just to name a few. 27 OUC employees contributed their time this year to YEA by sharing their professional experience with students. So before I turn this over to my co-chair, Ms. Queen, the AVE Committee, Queen Maslin Senior Community Engagement Coordinator, I'd like to extend my appreciation to everyone at OUC who has contributed their time and offered their support to the Youth Energy Academy, either this year or in the past. So I want to say thank you to our management, thank you to our CEO and you commissioners for allowing us to host this program, and we appreciate you all. So give yourself a hand. Without your support, we couldn't do it. Wade. I give a special wink to Wade because he's one of the first people that helped us out by hosting that stand. Now, Queen will give you an overview of our 2024 YEA program. Queen.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Corey. We were excited to welcome the Academy to the Persian Operations Center this year. We partnered with Water Production, who conducted a tour of the Conway Water Treatment Plant, where students learned how water is treated and delivered to our customers. Electric Distribution was on site to talk about a day in the life of a lineman. And Black Architects in the Making, also known as BAM Orlando, returned to help our students construct towers for hurricane simulation tests. Now, new this year, we were excited to welcome Orlando Science Center to the event to help our students learn how to balance the grid. Now, this is done through interactive curriculum that's part of Project Awesome. This is OCPS in-school 5th grade education program. Now, Awesome, which actually is an acronym meaning Alternative Water and Energy Supply, Observation Methods, and Education. So they learned about renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, how power gets to their homes, and how engineers manage the amount of energy that is being generated based on what is being used. As Corey mentioned, our goal was to raise awareness of career opportunities in the electric and water sectors amongst this audience, and once again, I am so proud to say that we accomplished just that. So with that being said, as Corey mentioned, I would like to recognize executive leadership members Wade Gillingham, Janice Osani for their support, and Lemoyne Adams as well of this year's Academy and previous academies. Chris Taylor, Manager of Construction and Maintenance, and team members Jason Drayton and Stephen Ramos. Now, Brad Jewell came in really big for us this year. Director of Water Production, him and his team members, James Houston, Ashley Nombre, Toby White, Dalton Radcliffe, John J.P. Burgess, Kevin Cooper, Craig Wyckoff, Ron Byers, and I'm coming to the end, Brad Fincher, and of course, Tony Lorenzo, everyone knows Tony. They did an amazing job in demonstrating why OUC has great taste in water, and we really appreciate their support of this year's Academy. And last but not least, Andrew Walters and the safety team for ensuring that we always make safety first in everything that we do. And so you can see the impact that the day actually makes on our students. Here is a short video recap.
The Youth Energy Academy is a two-day career exploration event where we partner with Siemens and Duke Energy to give middle and high school students an opportunity to explore careers within the utility industry.
What we're trying to get them to understand all the different career paths associated with it and help them to understand that there's a possibility that they can too one day be a part of this career.
I learned so much that I never knew, or I never thought I would learn until I get older. Me and my friends got to collaborate with each other on new projects, and I had so much fun.
We figured it out. We have the amazing opportunity to partner with local organizations to put on this academy. We have Orlando Science Center here today, helping our students learn how to balance the grid. We have BAM Orlando, Black Architects in the Making, that are helping our kids with hurricane simulation tests.
We seek to just engage and to offer that opportunity to just be a catalyst to help growth. And so hopefully if we grow them into architects of the future, then even better. But at least if we give them the opportunity to experience something different that they wouldn't have otherwise done on their own, then I think we've done our job.
And one of the most exciting things this year is we've actually partnered with water production, taking the kids to an actual water treatment plant.
We're having so much fun. We went on a field trip to see the water pressure in the plants. They put chemical into the original water to kill all the bad stuff in the water.
I love being able to see their faces light up. I love to hear the questions that they have. It really shows that our students are really engaged with the sessions that we have today. We've had students ask about everything from salary all the way to how some of the machines work at our water treatment plant. So the students are really engaged today, and we love to see that.
Once again, I just wanted to say thank you, leadership team, for your support of this year's academy and future academies to come. Thank you.
Thank you. And one final takeaway, Corey and Queen, never forget what the one student said. Not only did I learn a lot, but I had so much fun. When you can mix fun with learning, you got them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, good news stories like crazy today. So now, Clint, don't mess it up. We're going to move to the affirmative items portion of the agenda. And Ms. Booth, before we consider, do we have any requests from the public to speak on the affirmative items?
We do not, President Mills, we do not.
Great. Well, if seeing none then, do you have comments or a presentation regarding the affirmative items at this time?
Well, I did, and now I'm trying to rethink that. Yes, Commissioners, we do have one agenda item we would like to highlight. That's A5. I'm going to have Lemoyne Adams come up. As we think about the reliable one, certainly on the screen there, and we think about reliability, certainly a big part of that is recognizing that there are times we have aging infrastructure. As a part of aging infrastructure, you have to replace it. Not only do you need the funds, you need the engineering, you need the project coordination to go ahead and do that. Wanted to highlight this project specifically. It's in a very visible corridor on Summerlin Avenue. We seem to have a variety of projects that we've talked about. We've got South Orange and North Orange and Robinson and Delaney. In the moment, those are difficult projects for us in the community, but want to give you some assurance, our partnership on this with the City of Orlando, the amount of communication we're out there trying to make customers aware. But it's not easy, and we want to make sure the commissioners understand the schedule that we have going on, the corridor on which we're working, and perhaps, again, you may hear a few things in the community. But it's really an important project for us in our water distribution system, and it's important that we're being responsible in addressing aging infrastructure and replacing it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lemoyne to give you the full scope of the project and certainly see if you have any questions. So Lemoyne, all yours.
Thank you, Clint. President Mills, Commissioners, appreciate that introduction, Clint. And next slide, please. Before we go over the project details, I wanted to just review the project history a little bit and talk about how we got to this point today. So if anyone has been around the community for a while, you remember back in 2018, we did have 2 water main breaks in the Summerlin Avenue area. In September of 2018, we had a water main break on Concord Street and Summerlin Avenue, as you can see there on the map. And then in November of 2018, we had another water main break at South Street and Summerlin Avenue. So at that time, the 20-inch cast iron water main that was installed in 1938 was on our asset management plan for replacement. It was ranked 17 out of 48 other projects identified to be replaced due to age, pipe material, customer count, criticality, or things of that nature. After the 2 water main breaks, combined with the age of the pipe and other factors, we did re-rank the Summerlin Avenue project to be number 1, for obvious reasons, right? Next slide, please. So in 2019, we conducted and completed a hydraulic modeling and water quality analysis. Once that hydraulic modeling and water quality analysis was done, we were able to begin our preliminary engineering on the project in 2020. So as part of that process, we did reach out to the City of Orlando to see if they wanted to enter into a joint participation, I always want to say project, joint participation agreement with OUC, and they did. So in October of 2020, we came to the board and received approval for that JPA, construction costs, and engineering design services. So as the engineers got deeper and deeper into the design, commissioners, it was really apparent that due to the complexity of the project, the duration, the timeframe, construction schedule, the impact to the community, that we really need to divide the project into 2 phases, and that's what we did. Additionally, around that same time, the city added the replacement of their stormwater system to the project, as well as some other services. So we began to get into scope negotiations with the city for those added services. And then in April of 2023, came back to the board for approval of those additional services and scope. Next slide, please. So not a joint project agreement, but a joint participation agreement does save costs, has many, many benefits. One of the biggest benefits is cost savings. So we are able to reduce overall costs rather than completing the project separately. We're able to gain savings on maintenance of traffic items, road restoration, trenching, mobilization, demobbing, insurance and bonds, and things of that nature. We're also able to reduce the impacts to the surrounding community. The utility design also ensures space for all utilities as opposed to separate designs. We're also able to install all 3 assets, OUC's water system, the city's sewer and stormwater systems, quicker and more efficiently than working separately. So overall, the JPA structure in itself is simply just more efficient, more cost effective, and reduces community impact. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So on the map, commissioners, you can see in green, phase 1, the project will start at South Street and end at Mark Street. And then you can see from the slide as well, in blue, I believe that's blue, phase 2, south of the 408, extending south on Summerlin to Cherokee, and then ending at Annie Street and Delaney Avenue. You'll also notice there's a gap between the blue line and green line. That is not a mistake. We actually replaced that section of pipe back in 2010, so that pipe is relatively new. And essentially during phase 1, we'll tie into that northern section of pipe, and then phase 2, we'll tie into the southern section of pipe. Next slide, please. So this map really provides a good visual of the 3 different utilities that are going to be installed in the roadway. You can see that OUC has the majority of the scope with the installation of our 6,800 feet of 16-inch water main. You also see the city's sanitary sewer and stormwater. And this is a good visual, again, just to see where we can gain those opportunities for the JPA and gain some cost savings where we have our facilities in the same area. Next slide, please. So I wanted to highlight the brick pavers for you commissioners. In our community meetings, the stakeholders and the customers and community, they are really, really vocal about the brick pavers in this area. So as many of us know, Summerlin Avenue right now is bricked. The bricks are going to be removed by hand, cleaned, palletized, and stored, and then reinstalled when it's that time for the project. Just north of Robinson Street on Summerlin Avenue, many of us know that there's asphalt there, a combination of asphalt and bricks. But people that have been around here long enough know that below the asphalt are bricks. So we did make the decision to heat the asphalt, remove the asphalt, then remove the bricks by hand, again, clean them, palletize them, and then reinstall them when it's time. So as you can see again from the map, we'll have a nice clean brick roadway from South Street all the way north to 50. This is the historic district, historic area of town. And then north of Colonial will be asphalt. Next slide, please. So the project we're anticipating to start November of this year. We will start at number 1 work zone. It will be a full intersection closure there at Robinson Street and Summerlin Avenue. The infrastructure there is really deep. The trench is going to be huge. Dewatering is going to be an issue as well. So really the best option there was to have a full closure of that intersection from November to January 2025. Shortly thereafter, in February 2025, we'll start in work zones 2, 3, and 4. That work will take place concurrently, so we will have contractors in those areas at the same time. As you can imagine, there's going to be a lot of activity taking place, a lot of traffic, separate MOT packages, dewatering, trenching, a lot of communication with customers with respect to access to their businesses, driveways, and so on. So very complicated, big project, a lot of activity happening at the same time. In full transparency, this option was compared to the 2 work zone approach. Obviously, with 2 work zones, there are less crews, so a little bit less intrusive. However, the time frame for completing the 2 work zone option was about 4 years and 9 months, and it was about $2 million higher than the 3 work zone approach, which we plan to complete construction in about 3 years and 3 months. So obviously, for those reasons, the 3 work zone approach was chosen. And that was agreed upon by OUC and the City of Orlando. Next slide, please. So if you remember from a previous slide, OUC had the biggest scope of work on the project, the 6,800 feet of 16-inch water main replacement. Because of that, we elected to be the lead on this project. So as the lead, OUC was responsible for bidding the contract, selecting the contractor, selecting the consulting engineering firm to do the design work. In collaboration with the City of Orlando, they were also on the selection committee and part of that process. And they were also responsible for paying the total cost of the project. Now, we will get reimbursed by the City of Orlando for their scope of work. So OUC will be responsible for paying the $41.2 million, and the City of Orlando will reimburse OUC the $9.5 million. Next slide, please. As a project schedule, we've already advertised the bid, selected our contractor. We are here today to ask for commission approval. We anticipate construction starting in phase 1, October, probably more like the November timeframe of this year, with an estimated completion date of January 2028. Phase 2, we anticipate design being complete January 2027, with an estimated construction of November 27 through 2029. Next slide, please. I want to take a moment to just commend our engineering team, Natalie, our marketing and community relation team, Derek Hudson, our city counterparts, Christy Freeze and Lori Brooks, for their community outreach plan and procedures and processes. They have done just an outstanding job of keeping the customers and constituents and stakeholders in the area engaged. You can see the major stakeholder engagement who we've already reached out to. Lake Eola Heights, Thornton Park, Neighborhood Association, Howard Middle School. The team has talked with Commissioner Sheehan and Stewart. The majority of the project is in Commissioner Sheehan's district, with Commissioner Stewart having the northern part, I believe, Natalie, correct? We also reached out with the City of Orlando Special Events Division to talk about the impacts of Lake Eola Park. So the team, as I said, they've just done an outstanding job with keeping everyone informed of the scope, the schedule, and the process. City of Orlando and OUC, we also have website landing pages that discuss the project and scope. OUC will be sending out neighborly newsletters and broadcast alerts to our customers in the area prior to construction. The city will send out postcard notifications to residents that are within those individual work zones that I talked about prior to construction. And there will also be project signage installed in the construction areas during construction. So again, commend our team for a very comprehensive plan. Next slide. And finally, we are asking commission authorization for to execute a joint participation agreement for phase 1. We're also asking for approval of change request number 3 to the capital expenditure estimate for $39.2 million for a total of $41.2 million. We're also asking for approval of a scope change for CPH, the engineering design firm, in the amount of $1.7 million for a total of $3.4 million, and a purchase order to our contractor, Gibbs and Register, in the amount of $32.1 million. Any questions? Yes.
Currently, Robinson is closed at Summerlin. Is that separate from this project?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Thank you.
Yes. And I don't think Robinson is a full closure right now.
Robinson and Summerlin did get completed, correct? Because I know there's some conversation about the school opening up, and so I know perhaps if that's, again, Robinson and Summerlin, I think we completed our work.
Is it?
And it's my understanding of how.
That's the city that's doing that right now, because it is still closed, Robinson.
There may still be some work that's being done in and around that area. I know there's a much bigger project going on, as we spoke about, but I believe that intersection got opened up. The school was able to get open.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I wanted to clarify 2 things in one.
Yes.
One, the maintenance of traffic, the MOT plan, the traffic engineers that are responsible for evaluating and approving, is that City of Orlando or FDOT or both? But who ultimately reviews and approves the MOT package?
Yep, keep me honest, Natalie, but the City of Orlando reviews that, right?
Okay. Again, not an easy thing to do, right, commissioners? I mean, you can drag a project out 8 years, or you can get it done a few years and have, intersections closed. So it has its challenges. And then just to clarify, the approvals that we are doing as the lead, these are total approval projects. As Lemoyne said, the city, as it relates to this amount, will reimburse OUC the $9.5 million, and we'll be getting that approved prior to us beginning. So certainly a big number, but again, 9.5 of that is reduced from total cost.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the commissioners, I speak for my 2 peers here and appreciate not only the timeline going forward, but in recognition of their tenure, the timeline that went back, and giving them the history so that now we can vote in an intellectual manner. Thank you. All right. Before we vote on the affirmative actions, do we have any members of the public, do you know of, who would like to address the commission on affirmative items only? Okay. Before we vote, any other comments or questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve affirmative items A1 through A23?
Second.
We have a motion of approval from Commissioner Chapin, and as well as a second from Gonzalez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. All right. motion passes now. Affirmative items are done. We move into new business. Two key items in new business, the operating budget and capital plan, as well as the electric, water, conventional lighting, and some miscellaneous prices that's coming in. Mr. Bullock, do you have any comments on the new business items at this time?
Yes, President Mills, I have no further comments or changes since the July 9th pricing and budget workshop.
All right, are there any members of the public? Did I hear something? Oh, okay. All right, if there are no speakers and we have nothing, then before we vote on new business item number 1, are there any comments from any of the commissioners? If not, here's what we need. Need a motion to adopt the proposed 2025 operating budget and accept the capital plan for 2025 through 2029.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gonzalez and a second from Commissioner Chapin. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, before we vote on new business item number 2, are there any comments or questions from the commissioners? None from Clint or the commissioners. If there are no other comments or questions, may I have a motion again to adopt the proposed electric community solar program, public charging for electric vehicles, conventional lighting pricing, and miscellaneous changes effective October 1st, 2024, pending Florida Public Service Commission review and proposed water prices effective October 1st, 2024.
I couldn't have said it better myself, so moved.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Chapin and second from Commissioner Gonzalez. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. All right, we now move into our presentations. Ms. Bullock, do you have any comments on the presentations portion of the meeting at this time?
Yes, I would like to call Mindy Bernay to provide a bit of an overview of the revenue refunding bond resolution. So Mindy, could you give an update, please?
Sure, everyone has sneezed and coughed a little. I'm going to do a little bit of this. I'm getting ready to go on vacation. Good afternoon, President Mills, Commissioners Clint. I am here to present on the Series 2024A and 2024B bond resolution. I got it, Francis, thank you. Okay, just a little background to add to that comment President Mills had. We issue the Build America bonds, which are informally called BABs. We issued them in 2010. They're a unique bond. They are taxable with a federal subsidy that came with it. So the combination of the taxable bonds with the federal subsidy made this a very valuable transaction for OUC because the pricing was less than tax-exempt bonds. Unfortunately, in the life of these bonds, the federal government has taken action and sequestered some of that subsidy. So over the period of time since 2013, the value that we've secured on these bonds has been reduced by about 2.9 million, and we have the potential to see an increase at a minimum up to $4.2 million, and the potential with the federal government having more financial challenges to continue the option to sequester the value that is provided back to OUC. We get this credit on a quarterly basis. So, in accordance with the provisions of the bond, there is a provision within the Build America bonds. It's called the Extraordinary Optional Redemption Provision to refund these bonds if there is a material change. We have consulted with bond counsel. We have presented this to the Audit Finance Committee, and the 2.9 million is considered material change for OUC. So with this, coupled with some additional court rulings that have recently been announced on these Build America bonds, we had presented a recommendation to the Audit Finance Committee, which was approved in March, to refund the Build America bonds to reduce the risk of future sequestrations and really increase the value to OUC customers. So the recommendation here is to refund the Build America bonds $200 million under the provisions of the Extraordinary extraordinary optional redemption provision. I want to be clear that this transaction has it may cost us a little bit. And so over the last few weeks with market volatility, that we once anticipated this to deliver savings, it has swung quite a bit. And as of today, the cost is about $100,000 to execute this refunding. But this does take off a significant amount of risk, and it does not incorporate the option value that comes with refunding under the tax exempt guidelines. So the refunding options here are different provisions than our traditional tax exempt bonds. There are a provision called a make whole provision. Our traditional bonds have a call option of 10 years, and that option has real value to OUC. So over the life of the bonds, we know that there will be savings, but in the short term, we anticipate some additional costs, and the bond resolution that you have, the series resolution, shares that we have limited that risk to 1%. Should the cost of the refunding go beyond that 1%, we will not execute the transaction. So again, right now, it is almost close to break even at 100,000. When we started the transaction, it was favorable, but a week or so ago, the markets went a little crazy on us. So, it's the reason why we have labeled these the Bs, because there is optionality. We don't time when we go to the market. I want to be very clear, we do not do that. But we also try to be thoughtful about when we go to the market, hence the reason why these are the Bs, and the next series I'll talk about are the As. So on the A bonds, that is a vanilla go to the market for additional funding. That is a portion of what we need for the 2025 capital plan. Lemoyne couldn't have set this up better for me with a $40 million expense, but we anticipate going to the market for about $250 million in 2025. We do have a refunding coming in the spring, so we will come back again. Chris and the team will come back again in the springtime. We do anticipate using these bond documents and leveraging that because the time frame is so condensed, and we can bring real value, issuing one preliminary offering statement and just updating it, and potentially just one trip to the rating agencies. So there is value of coupling these together and kind of narrowing the time frame. So I want to share with you that what you have in your packet on the resolution has a minor correction in there. It's called a Scribner's correction. For me, in my informal language, it'd be administrative, but I want to read this into the record. On page 21, it basically is that for the presentation of the bonds, the paying agent information is incorrect. It states that it is the Bank of New York, but it is the Bank of New York Mellon Corporate Trust. The address is not 101 Barclay Street, but 500 Ross Street, Suite 625. I know this sounds crazy, but I just want to make sure for the record. And the address has New York. It is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So with that additional clarification in the packet that you have, I would ask, the recommendation here is to present for the board's approval the Audit Finance Committee recommendation approval of the amended, which I just shared with you. That is the only change in the series resolution of the 2024A utility revenue bonds and the series 2024B utility system revenue bonds, the refunding bond resolution. The resolution, for clarification, authorizes the issuance of both of the series, and it approves the cost of issuance and the underwriting team, all of which are outlined in the series resolution. Jeffries LLC and Ramirez are our co-senior managers, and we are also working with Raymond James and Wells Fargo on this transaction. I will also share that we work very closely with in-house legal counsel, disclosure counsel, bond counsel. Disclosure counsel is Greenberg Turek with their minority partnership with Endow Law. And then our bond counsel is Bryant Miller and Olive with co-counsel of Marchena and Graham. We also use the resources of PFM, Dan Hartman and Eric Winterkamp are in the audience. And then, of course, a thank you to our financing team, Michael Cahan, and I'm sorry, I'm sure Chris would have rather been here to share this, and Chris McCullion for sure has added a ton of value to this transaction. So, any questions?
Do we have anybody from the public that have, okay. Seeing that we have no comments or questions from commissioners nor from the public, at this point then, is there a motion to adopt the Series 2024 Utility System Revenue Bond and the Series 2024B Utility Systems Revenue Refunding Bond Resolution as amended, that corrects the scribner's errors and the address as presented by Ms. Brene?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second by Commissioners Gonzalez and Chapin at this time. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion passes. All right, Ms. Brene, would you come back and do the financial report?
Yes, I will. Okay. Again, President Mills, Commissioners Clint, I'm happy to share with you the July revenue numbers. We haven't quite, at the time we prepared this, haven't quite closed the financials, but for July, you can see that as Pete opened the meeting, it's hot. The dog days of summer are here. But actually, the hot weather started long before July, and we've had a tailwind into the summer months. Thank you, Ken, I got it now. And so right now, we are sitting at about 15.2 million favorable to budget on the revenue line. That is percentage-wise slightly lower than what we were in the June timeframe because we budget for hot weather in July. It is just what we anticipate, so our revenue variance will probably percentage-wise continue to come closer to the target, but the amount might vary. So anyhow, our revenue is strong. Water revenue is also strong, again, because it has been dry out. Now, the summer months changed that, but our dry season was a little longer this year, so water revenue was ahead of budget. You can see here that we have not just warm weather driving this, but also EV penetration, stronger than we had originally anticipated in the forecast last year. And then again, warm weather really, giving us a little bit of cushion into the summer months. Offsetting this, we do know that our expenses are a little higher for a variety of reasons, but this tailwind here certainly helps us out. Questions? You have the full June financials in your packet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Browder, do we have any legal issues to report? All right, thank you. Again, Clint, Ms. Wilk, do we have any members of the public address the board on any generic items? Okay, well, at this time, we'll move forward with the general manager's comments.
Thank you, President Mills. I do have a few items I would like to highlight for the board here today. I'm going to ask Linda Ferroni to come up and give our first one. It's an update related to a national report, SACE, Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. Specifically, there's a category of Sunriser, and I'm not going to blow it. I'm going to let Linda share with you, but we seem to be on a theme here today related to the number one. So I guess I blew it, but that's okay.
Well,
Linda,
it's on the slide.
Yeah, it is on the slide, so there you go. All right, Linda, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm following Mindy's lead because safety is job one here. So President Mills, Commissioners, and Clint, I am so pleased to share that for the first time, OUC has been named the #1 Sunriser by the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, otherwise known as SACE. We're particularly pleased with this because it really emphasizes our commitment to our CO2 emissions reduction goals of being net zero by 2050 with a 50% reduction by 2030 and 75% by 2040. It is the 6th consecutive year that we've been on the list, but is the first time that we have been number 1. So here you can see the list of solar or of sunrisers, and just explain what that means for a moment. Sunrisers are considered those who with solar ambition. So that is defined as the growth in solar and megawatts divided by the number of customers you have. So it evens the playing field. If you just looked at the total amount of solar installed by utilities, of course, the larger utilities would have much more solar than the smaller municipal utilities. But this evens the playing field by looking at it on a solar watts per customer perspective. So you can see there, OUC is number 1. So we're thrilled with this. Again, our 6th year on the list since its inception. On the left side of the screen there, you can see the list of solar watts per customer. Of course, TECO has more solar watts per customer, but if you look at it as a sunriser, which is the increase in solar watts per customer, this is where OUC tops the list. You can see there that by 2027, we're projected to have 1,716 solar watts per customer. I'll just mention that Florida is leading in the Southeast. This looks at over 400 utilities in the Southeast and 7 states. And Florida does lead that list. And these utilities represented on the prior page actually were from all over the Southeast. This is the Florida list, and Florida continues to pull away from the pack, which we can see on this page. So I know it's a little hard to read, but across the bottom are those 7 states in the Southeast that are evaluated. And then it is the megawatts of solar installed on the vertical axis. And then you can see it's for the years 2020 through 2027 for each of those. And you can really see Florida is leading the pack. Distributed solar is in the gold and utility scale solar is in the blue. So we're very proud of this distinction and helping to lead our state. I'll mention if we were looking at the states nationally, California tops that list, Texas is number 2, Florida is number 3, followed by North Carolina and Arizona. So what did they look at? They looked at a couple of exciting projects we have almost completed. So by the end of the year, we'll have Story Bend and Harmony 2, which are our next large solar arrays coming online in December. Each of them are 74.5. So they cover about 500,000 acres and 500 acres. I don't know why I want to really make that a big number. That sounds astronomical. 500 acres. So these are very large projects. And of course, these are taken into account when they're looking at our growth in solar. So these are a big part of that. And there's Story Bend, from an image of it from June 2024. So working its way towards being commissioned by the end of the year. In the upper corner, you can see a rendering of our floating solar array that's coming this fall. It's 2 megawatts, which is not large compared to our ground-mounted solar, but it's very large compared to floating solar. It'll be the largest in the Southeast at the time that it's installed. So we're excited about that. It's coming on a Florida Department of Transportation retention pond just south of our Pershing Operations Center. So it'll be the largest in the Southeast, and hopefully there'll be more to come with our arrangement we have with the Florida Department of Transportation. So thank you for your continued commitment towards our path to clean energy. Of course, we're very proud of this because it does exemplify that commitment. Answer any questions you may have.
No questions. That's great.
Thank
Great
you.
news.
Thank you, Linda. The next presenter, I'm going to ask Orlando Allen Castro, who's our Director of Energy Services and Contract Management. I've asked him to give us an update related to our EV charging, high-speed charging program. We've certainly heard about Robinson charging hub. We've got a couple other charging hubs, but we're going to give you a bit of an overview of what's going on here in the state, what's going on specifically in our region, and we'll give an update on some of the projects, and then talk about a couple other projects that we've had in the queue. As you heard Mindy talk about, thank you.
About that. You heard me. That's right. So Orlando's going to give an overview on our EV program, and where we are and certainly where we're headed. So we're very excited about this update. It really shows that OUC continues to be progressive in this area. As you heard Mindy talk about, the revenues continue to increase higher than projections. So the market is there. We're just trying to do our part to make sure we support customers as we think about not only providing electricity, but providing EV charging infrastructure. So with that, Orlando, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Mills, commissioners, and Clint. As Clint mentioned, I will be providing an update on the EV adoption in Central Florida, as well as those, and more importantly, the current projects that we have in the pipeline for addressing public charging within the Central Florida area. I think I can do it. All right, so I want to start out with some good news. Not that I have any bad news really to share, actually. So we continue to see strong growth and acceleration in EV adoption within the state of Florida. Just last month in July, we had seen EV registration surpass 400,000 vehicles within the state of Florida. If you look at the chart to your right, there's you have Miami-Dade County that's shown in the dark blue purplish line. Miami-Dade County continues to lead the state in EV registrations, closely followed by Orange County in the dark orange reddish line there, and then Broward County. Florida is also ranked number 2 in the nation, against with California being number 1. Florida is ranked number 2 in the nation in EV registrations, and then closely followed by Texas. So as we drill down and look a little closer at the Central Florida numbers, we see that in Orange and Osceola County, EV registrations in July hit over 50,000 vehicles. Of that, around 35,000 of those vehicles were registered within the OUC service territory. Just from the last quarter, from April to June, we saw the EV registrations within our OUC territory grow by about 4,500 vehicles. So we're continuing to see a 15% growth quarter over quarter, and about 152% increase from previous year totals. So with these high EV penetration or EV adoption numbers, we're now estimating that, and given the last 2 quarters data, we're now estimating that about 40,000 vehicles will be registered within the OUC service territory by the end of the calendar year. So that puts us on track to achieving our goal for increasing adoption as part of our Connect 2025 strategy. So while these numbers look great, there's still room for improvement, there's still room for growth. And I say that in part because customers are still seeing access to EV charging as a barrier to adoption. Just recently in June, there was a study that was done by the Cox Automotive Group that found that 32% of consumers who were looking to or interested in buying an EV vehicle cited the lack of charging stations in their area as a barrier to purchase. Another recent poll in April done by the Energy Policy Institute of University of Chicago found that around 47% of customers said, or U.S. adults, that they were not likely to buy a EV vehicle for their next vehicle purchase, and that 80% of those U.S. adults cited a lack of EV infrastructure as a real contributing factor for that decision. So OUC's EV strategy is working hard to address those customer concerns. You can see our holistic strategy approach looks at policy, adoption, education, rates, and infrastructure as pillars. And that includes participating in policy and rulemaking to address the unique needs of EV drivers, as well as development of public charging access throughout the territory, programs that offer turnkey installation of EV charging equipment like our Own It, Charge It program, educational opportunities such as the fleet assessment and ride and drive events that we've hosted. So as you can see, those are just some of the things that we're doing and working to improve adoption within our territory, within the Central Florida area. So now I'd like to go ahead and focus on how our efforts to building the charging hubs are influencing the market here within Central Florida. As you may recall, last year in July, we cut the ribbon on the Robinson Street EV Mobility Recharge Hub in downtown Orlando. Since the ribbon cutting, that hub has been a very popular charging destination among EV drivers. We have seen just from Q1 to Q3, we saw the utilization grow from 8.4% utilization to about 17% utilization. And utilization for purpose of this metric is a function of time. So it's measured by the total amount of time the vehicles are connected to a port over the total time available of the site. I do want to point out another metric that we look at, which is utilization as a function of load factor. Utilization of load factor is measured by the total amount of energy consumed at the site over the total available capacity at the site. Over the last 2 quarters, we saw about 10 to 12% utilization on load factor. And here more recently, we had our strongest month in July where we saw load factor utilization climb up to 17%. Now, why is that important? To put it into perspective, we compare that to a Tesla Super Hub. The Tesla Super Hubs in our territory are operating around 20% utilization, albeit that's an annualized utilization. And while we've only just hit that here in the month of July, I think that's a promising indicator that the Robinson Hub is competing well with the Tesla Super Hubs within our market. So that's good news. We're also seeing revenues, our current year-to-date revenues are slightly ahead. We surpassed 330,000 in revenues. And we are forecasting the fiscal year 24 revenues to land at about 450,000, so just above our projected goal. So the site is performing better than expected in its first full year of operation. I also want to point out that since opening, we have seen about 3,900 unique customers have visited the site. This has generated over 29,000 transactions, so we've got a lot of repeat customers. We've dispensed over 1 million kilowatt hours of energy. And that's the equivalent of about 3.4 million road miles of EV traveled and approximately 1,400 metric tons of CO2 emissions avoided. So now I'm excited to give you an update on Orange County Convention Center, or as we like to call it, OCCC Recharge Hub. The charging infrastructure at that site has been completed, it's been installed. However, we are waiting on final easement approval by the Orange County Convention Center, which is going to the Orange County Commission meeting in August. So as soon as we receive the approval of that easement, we will immediately open up the site for public access. This will be our second hub in operation, and we will feature 6 240 kW DC direct current fast charging ports. And will be capable of charging vehicles of all types, just like at the Robinson Hub. I am excited that this hub is conveniently located just north of the North Concourse at the Orange County Convention Center and directly across from the Universal new Epic Universe Park and the 2 hotels. So we are anticipating a high volume of traffic at this location. We're going to be closely monitoring this site for its utilization, and it's likely that we could be coming back and recommending an expansion of this site. The construction of this site is partially funded by the VW settlement funds. So about 270,000 of the capital costs will be eligible for recovery. So now I'm going to talk to you about our third hub. And this will be located at the Four Roots Farm campus, and will provide high-speed fast charging at the Paramore neighborhood area within the OUC empowerment zone. So we have been working with the Emerging Tech group. They have been collaborating closely with my team, the Emerging Energy Services group, and the New Products team to showcase a nanogrid system at the campus and demonstrate the feasibility of combining solar and energy storage to power up 4 level 2 ports and 2 high-speed fast charging ports. So the team is currently working in the design phase, and the overall project completion is expected for Q4 of 2025. One other thing to point out is that this project will also be partially funded by the congressionally directed spending earmark that was budgeted in the in the 2022 federal budget. So we continue to actively work on expanding the availability of EV charging through our territory, and we continue to be committed to establishing 8 EV recharge hubs across our territory, including the East Orlando and Osceola County areas. Just to reiterate, the first 3 hubs of those 8 hubs is the Robinson Street Hub, OCCC, and 4 routes. And we are looking to deploy additional DC fast charging hubs throughout the Florida 10th Congressional District, again, using the CDS earmark funds. Just to recap, the CDS funds were funds that were secured for OUC by Representative Demings prior to her departure from office. We're also looking at other future sites and leveraging the charging and fueling infrastructure grant to fund 3 additional hubs, 2 near the Orlando International Airport and 1 near Wedgefield, as well as exploring other sites in St. Cloud, Lake Nona, Sunbridge area. We want to make sure that we have a recharge hub presence in the southern portion of our territory. All right, so in closing, I just want to share, I think, we're making great strides in expanding our electrification in Central Florida and working towards our goal of, net zero carbon emissions by 2050. A lot of work has been done to get us to where we are so far, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But before I wrap up, I do want to take an opportunity to acknowledge and recognize the marketing and products team for all of their support and work in advancing our electrification efforts. And while my team, led by Eva Reyes, certainly works to support on the installation and operations of the hubs and the equipment, much of the progress and accomplishments are due in large to their support. So specifically, I want to thank Tom Nielsen, Pete Westlake, Nick Smith, and Eva Reyes for all of their efforts to get us to where we are today. With that, I'll take any questions.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Orlando, certainly excited about the advancement of EVs, no doubt. Commissioners, I wanted to give an update on our peak shift program. As you recall, we had our June 13th pricing workshop. As you recall, at the last board meeting, I gave an update. I just want to give a bit of a more detailed update here today and also let you know where we are from a scheduling standpoint. I want to assure the board that the management team continues to take the appropriate amount of time to reach out to stakeholders, listen to what they're saying, understand some of the studies and information that they're sharing with us, work through some of the misunderstandings and misconceptions. So there's education, going in both directions, and the team really continues to work on that. We've worked with different community and stakeholder groups to really talk about energy efficiency as a whole, OUC rebates as a whole, but certainly the focus is related to our peak shift program and try to get us closer as a community. Some of those types of organizations have been low income, environmental advocacy groups, rooftop solar interest groups, nonprofits, senior citizen interest groups, neighborhood associations, et cetera. So again, we're very committed to the importance of the peak shift program and where we're going. I talked about we've continued to receive extensive amount of material, and we will continue to review those. Previously, I indicated that we would move forward, and the earliest we'd have an update would be September. I'm here to share with you that not only are we not going to update in September, we do not have a board meeting in October. So the earliest that we will come back with any type of update to the board will be the November timeframe. Again, we feel like we need to take the appropriate amount of time, especially over the next couple months. We have continued to update the OUCpeakshift.com. We provided this update on that website to share with the community members. We continue to receive feedback through that channel, and we'll continue to work through this as we get through the soonest, the November time period. So I wanted to inform the community, inform the board that that's the steps we continue to take as we're listening and developing as we move down this path. If there's any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I have one more item to update. Okay. As you noticed, unfortunately, poor Chris McCullion fell ill and was not able to make the board meeting here today. The items that actually Mindy filled in for Chris on, he was supposed to update you on all those, but I do have one action that I will be seeking approval by the board here today. Generally, the January timeframe, we vote in officers and we vote in secretary and assistant secretaries at that timeframe. Since we're at a cycle here and we continue the transition from Mindy to Chris, I am here mid-year making a request as we will move Chris McCullion into the assistant secretary. So I would like to recommend that Chris McCullion be appointed as assistant secretary of the commission, hard for me to say, replacing Mindy Burnett. Of course, she's smiling, but so I would like to ask the commission for that action.
I'd move to appoint Chris McCullion as Assistant Secretary of the Commission, replacing Mindy Bernang. And she already said something about vacation earlier, so I don't feel too bad about that.
We don't need a second on that motion. We have a motion from Commissioner Chapin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, well, thank you all.
That's all I had.
That's all you have?
Yes, that's all.
Any other comments or? Okay, well, at this point then, we'll ask for commissioner comments before adjournment. Starting with you, Commissioner.
Again, I want to thank everyone for all their hard work and preparation and presenting everything. It always is very amazing to me how many people it takes to put the lights on. And, you know, from linemen to everyone else, I just become more and more educated what it takes. So thank you for that. Second, the only other thing is that it was really incredible to see about the Robinson Station, how well it's doing, and then the building of the new. So thank you again for all the hard work and for keeping the lights on and really doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you again. Just congratulations on all the accolades, the linemen, the solar program, some of the benefits programs. Nice work. I feel like we should have some phone number ones in the background.
Oh, I can provide that.
Yeah, you could get some of those. I enjoyed hearing about the Youth Energy Academy, lots of smiling faces, and I'm sure that I appreciate all the help and support for that program. And the infrastructure charging update was enlightening, so thank you for all that.
All right, I echo the sentiments of my peers here and just wanted to make one comment that seeing the EV expansion and the recharging hubs and the solar awards and where we're headed there, I think needs to be emphasized. It shows our commitment to the environment and to furthering the right causes there. So I applaud you on that, and we heard a lot, learned a lot, applauded a lot. So it's a very good meeting, and I thank you all for your continual effort. With that being said, it's 3:33, and I officially adjourn this meeting. Yeah, we had a lot today.